Hello, Living Water. Mike Bongo here. Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. I want to tell you what this is all about. I'm going to show in this clip here something from 4 years ago. Right now it's 2024. It's actually Christmas Eve, and I'm going to be posting a video to the Outreach YouTube channel from 4 years ago. It's me presenting to you, the congregation, back then about our compassion ministry. It's going to be pretty self-explanatory because I'll walk through it, but just know that what you're watching is dated. It goes back 4 years. But I wanted to share something like this rather than redoing what was done 4 years ago. I thought I could share it because our compassion ministry at Living Water has only grown since then. So whatever data you will see in the following clip, it's only increased since then. God has really blessed this ministry, utilizing us to meet the needs of our community. And really the main reason and the target audience for this video is those of you who contribute to Living Water's Compassion Fund. I am so grateful. Grace Rodriguez is grateful. Patrick Brown, our team, our staff, elder board. We are so grateful for your generosity. I always say this church is incredibly generous, and I don't know that you can say it enough. And all praise goes to God because He works that generosity in His people. But because there's funds in the Compassion Fund for us to minister to people, amazing opportunities have gone forth where, the gospel is presented. We get opportunities to pray with people. People have come to Living Water through the Compassion Fund. I believe people have been saved through the love and kindness shown to them when they stumbled into the church building looking for help with a utility bill or rent, and we share with them the good news of Jesus. I mean, all this happens because people are generous. Ultimately, God is the one doing it, but He uses His people just like you. So if you give, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let me run the video, and because I think what I say in this video here is just as applicable in 2024 as it was back in 2020. This was from COVID year 2020. Yeah, that year. But it's the content I think is just as relevant today. So I wanted to share it. So thanks for checking it out. I want to say welcome to everybody who's watching from home on our live stream. And my name is Mike. I'm on staff here at the church as our director of outreach. And we're gonna keep the worship going, but it's just gonna look a little bit different right now. What I want to do is we've built into this service a little time to talk about a particular ministry. As you know, COVID has been wreaking havoc on many aspects of life in the year 2020, and ministry life has been no different. There's certain ministries that have been completely shut down, like our prison ministry. Haven't had a chance to go into the prison since February, so I really miss that. But other ministries have not shut down. On the contrary, they have really exploded. They've thrived during COVID, and one of those is the compassion ministry. And so I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about this ministry, give you a little feedback. A couple weeks ago, Pastor Mike shared some details. It was a perfect setting of the table for what I'm about to do here today. So Richard, if you throw up the slide there, there's the logo for our compassion ministry. And compassion ministry is like the broad heading, and then underneath compassion ministry are other ministries, and one of those that falls under it is what's called the Compassion Fund, sometimes referred to as a benevolence fund. And so this is funded by you. When you give to the Compassion Fund, this gets built up, and then we are charged with the tremendous responsibility of distributing these funds to those who are in need and have compassion on them. Just like Jesus looked out at the crowds, He saw the multitudes, and time again we're told He had compassion on them. And so as the body of Christ, we want to do the same. So the Compassion Fund is governed by a team of people. It's not a one-man operation, to be sure. Those people do the vetting of the applicants, and there's another member that's on the team, but he doesn't do so much of the vetting as he's the guy who cuts the checks, and that would be Elder Patrick Brown. So he's like the last line of defense. For any time that we approve a need, I send that request to Patrick, and he cuts the checks. But sometimes he'll come back with a question for me. Hey, Mike, we're paying this person. What's the situation? Maybe something looks a little funny to him, and I welcome that. I welcome that accountability. So I have everything documented. I'm fully prepared for the times that he does that, because stewardship and accountability, these are important concepts when it comes to the Compassion Fund. So it's a team of people, and like I said, the funds come from the faithful giving of men and women right in this room and at home. And what I'll tell people sometimes, the applicants, I'll say to them straight out, I'm like, the money's not coming out of my pocket. This is not my money, and it's not even Living Water's money. It's the Lord's money. He owns it all. And so we got to be careful with how we distribute his resources. So I want to share with you a little bit of what's happened for the last few months here. So the total expenditures, and we're looking at from January to November of 2020. Cut it at November 30th because I needed time to kind of compile everything. And so that number is $60,000. And I say that this is worship time because we should praise the Lord for working that generosity into your hearts so that we might meet the needs of the community. Yeah, this is not about us. I get emails, I get thank you cards, people like, Mike, you saved my life. Like, okay, I appreciate the sentiment, but not really. But it's a wonderful opportunity to point people to the Lord. And so, we try to, as all ministries are gospel focused, the Compassion Fund is really no different. So of the $60,000 there, what is the number of people that we helped? This is a ballpark figure. I had to round it off. You'll see it's a very round number. It's the Compassion applicants. It's people who benefit from our food pantry and people who partake in the vehicle repair ministry. So all in all, for 11 months, it was roughly 300 people. Okay? So how has the money been distributed? And that is too small for me, so I'm going to have to turn around and look. So you'll see on the far left, the big column there would be rent and mortgage. I mean, that's the vast majority of the needs that come in, and that's the high dollar needs that come in, mortgage payments compared to, a UGI bill, for example. But that blue column there, what that's basically saying is we're not paying people's cable bills, okay? We're not paying for HBO. We're paying so that they would have a roof over their head, basic, bare necessities. So if you look at the other columns there, next to it is utilities, and these look really small compared to the rent and mortgage, but it's $5,500 in utilities over 11 months. Some of them are like, $80. So, there's significant help happening there when people's electric is about to be turned off, and we supply the necessary funds to avoid that. Next would be food. That would be the food that we get from the Central PA Food Bank to distribute through our food pantry, which is in the CRC, the lower portion of the CRC over there. Medical. This is hospital bills. Those can put a lot of pressure upon people. Not only did they have a surgery or some procedure and they're recovering from, then they're like, I got these bills hanging over me. We come along and we help with those. There was some ambulance rides, basically, that we covered under medical. And if you look under vehicles, that's the smallest column, less than $1,000. And you might think, well, you guys must not do much with the vehicle repair ministry. You'd be wrong if you thought that. They were in there just yesterday. You know how cold it was yesterday morning? Jim Bennett's key didn't even work in the lock in there. The lock was frozen. So these guys and gals get up early on a Saturday morning, and they're in there often. They get there at 8 o'clock until like 1, 2 o'clock or later. Otto Brown is one of the team members. Tom Baer has been leading this for a long time. Like I said, Jim Benn, a whole slew of people. Bob Sadock is another guy. So the reason that number's kind of low, though, is these guys are the labor. If we paid for labor and they didn't volunteer, that would skyrocket. But it's the labor that is free by people who love to work on cars. And so the money does come from us helping supplement for the parts. We ask for people to pay for the parts, but they can't always cover it in full, so we will supplement there, and that's where the $9.96 comes from. Counseling, $18.50. That would be our resident counselor, Lisa Dickerson. She has an office right on the other side of that wall. She's in here evenings, late nights, meeting with people, praying with them, opening the Bible, crying with them, doing what she does. And so we are glad to contribute to that great work. And then lastly, miscellaneous, about $2,000. This is just things that didn't fit in the other columns. I'll give you an example. The Bethesda Mission, when you talk about doing good work in the city of Harrisburg, the Bethesda Mission is right there, man. They are the tops. Harrisburg would not be Harrisburg what it is without the mission doing what they do, especially on these very cold nights where they open the doors to everybody. Well, they needed a pallet jack, and it was a few $1,000s, and so I think we contributed like $600 towards that. So that would be like the miscellaneous. And so who was helped? Well, you can see the vast majority, the funds went to the community. And Living Water comprises about 40%. And that's a little misleading because you might think, well, so if 10 people come to the Compassion Fund, 4 of them are from Living Water. Not even close. Not even close. It's maybe 1. And you say, well, how do you explain the numbers? We go way deeper with Living Water folks. We know you. We know your situation. We see you here. We see you serving. We've been in relationship with you for years. So we will go deeper in terms of the funding, of the finances. That's why it's $24,000, about 40%. So lastly, I will just say this. If you'd like to get involved in this ministry, contact Mike Bongo. That's me. Mike B. at livingwatercc.com.